Next, we have Red Leaf Studio, and they pretty much exclusively communicate through this Zealous Zenkai person on Instagram, as far as I'm aware. So they posted recently this, like, you know, a bunch of Broly head sculpts. This is the red version, and it says pre-orders open sometime next month. And they posted this on December 29th, so they mean like January. The pink version here, same thing. And then the green version right here, okay? Now for these, as I've mentioned before, and I said as well, I'm not trying to be like, you know, harsh or like unkind or anything. I'm just trying to give constructive feedback, right? Like constructive or, you know, ways to help improve the product. So for this, as far as I can tell, and someone mentioned this on Reddit, it's based on this, right? It looks very similar to this, I would say, right? I think most people would agree it kind of resembles this. What I would do for this to like make this look more, you know, accurate to the manga here, I would first of all flatten the chin right there. So if you notice the shape of the face here, the chin is actually flat at the bottom, whereas with this one it has this like pointy chin, right? And the original SH Figuarts actually does have a pointy chin like that, so it does resemble that, okay? And if you look, well, this one you can't really see the chin, but I assume it's the same thing. So the chin on the SHF version of like, Super Saiyan Broly does have the pointy chin, but in the manga here, he has a flat chin, okay? So if you want it to be accurate to the manga, then you would have to flatten the chin there. And I'd also say the eyes look slightly too big to me, so I'd reduce the size of the eyes and also the angle of the eyes. So the eyes look like the angle's going like this, right? In the manga, the angle's not that sharp, right? So you'd probably want to like reduce that curve or reduce that angle a bit to make it look more like how these eyes look here. And something I'd recommend too is like the art style, like the art style of the manga right here is kind of different to what we are used to seeing a Super Saiyan Broly, because usually his eyes are whited out and this just looks kind of different. The art style doesn't look exactly the same to me. So what I would do personally if I was making this is whenever they show the head sculpts, well, then again, I guess there's a whole, you know, copyright stuff, right? But essentially though, you do want to convey the message that this is meant to represent the manga Broly, like this specific panel, if that's what you're going for, so that people who see it will say like, oh, it looks like that, it looks like the manga, like this panel right here, and so they'd recognize what you're aiming for instead of seeing it and being like, what is this, like this looks nothing like Broly, but it actually does kind of resemble this right here, okay? So that is what I would do. I just try to convey that message more, that it's really going for this kind of art style if that is what you're trying to accomplish here, okay? And let's see, they also said all three versions of Unrelenting Monster custom head kits by Red Leaf Studio was pushed back for proper functionality, testing, and design due to bigger hair sculpt. Interdimensional gesture will be revealed, which is Janemba. I mean, we'll see that now. So this is the Janemba. This was revealed 2 days ago. It says December 30th, 2025. And I will say, like, personally, I actually really like the look of this, apart from a few minor changes I would make to this. But this is the first image of this. I like the aesthetic. Like, I like the aesthetic of it personally, okay? It says Interdimensional Jester version A by Red Leaf Studios' first full look. Much more accessories and version B will be revealed next month, according to the studio. Pre-orders will likely open between end of Q1 to beginning of Q2 next year. This time frame is subject to change, and as you will find out, this is actually, I believe this is a delayed project now, so those dates might really have changed already, okay? But yeah, the next image was this, which is just a straight, you know, front-facing image, right? And so I saw someone comment about, as I was saying before, the drop-down hips. So I agree that I think drop-down hips really would help this a lot, because like the hips right here, you see how it's very, very narrow like that, right? And then the real Janemba looks like this, you know? So as I said before, I think you really want to have this, you know, come out to the proper, like, you know, width that it should be, his torso and everything, to make it look like this. Like basically what I would recommend if I was like 3D modeling this or trying to make a 3D model of this or something, like if possible, you could probably just import like an image of Janemba or the render of Janemba or whatever, and just use it as a reference and like try to just imitate this, because that's really what you're going for, right? You're trying to make this. So just like as you're sculpting and as you're modeling it, look at this as a reference, right? And so yeah, increase the width of the torso right here and the waist to get it looking more like how Janemba looks here, like the Dragon Ball Fighters. I think this is Dragon Ball Fighters art, right? And if you have drop down hips, then the legs could go down and then out to the side, so that this being out here wouldn't affect him being able to kick out to the side. Okay. And someone else mentioned like I think the person that commented also mentioned like the shins right here. So like how these, like at least this one at least, kind of like disappears when it gets to this part of his leg, whereas like on here it goes like all the way around. So that, yeah, I could see that as being a thing. And something else I would change, that I would add to that, is I would make his stature a bit taller. His proportions look a little like stout. He looks a bit like shrunken, if you get what I mean. So you probably want to make his legs a bit longer or his torso a bit longer. Something about his proportions seems slightly off. So perhaps his legs need to be extended or his torso needs to be longer. I'm not sure, but the proportions don't look exactly the same as this one. You see, this Janemba looks a bit more like tall and imposing, whereas this one looks a little like shrunken and small. So I think you really want to like extend the height of him or something like that as well. But apart from that, if they do make changes like that and make it really, you know, look more like this, I do like the aesthetic. Like the face sculpt, I actually think the face sculpt is pretty good. Like that is actually, I mean, it looks like Janemba to me, you know. I think it looks pretty good. I guess you could say like his face right here is really small compared to his like the top of his head here, whereas this one isn't like that small. But I guess it depends on art style preference. I don't know. I don't know if the movie Janemba quite looked like that. Yeah, I don't know. And also I'd say too, another thing I just noticed is that his horns are a bit longer on this, whereas on this they're not as long, not as stretched out, if you see right there. And as they're not as slender either, I don't think. Yeah, or it could depend on the angle, I don't know. But yeah, if they update this and stuff, make some changes, make it look more similar to like Janemba's actual like character model, character design, then I probably want this depending on the price, you know. So then they posted this saying, oh yeah, like you see here, even the art style depends on what you're looking at, because this Janemba right here doesn't look exactly the same as this, right? So it depends on what you're going for. I think the Fighters one looks fantastic though. Like if I were to choose one between like this and this, I'd probably go with this one, you know. But yeah, so they made a statement. They said, hello everyone. First of all, I want to thank you all for your support and criticism of my current project. I have noticed most of the feedback regarding the project's results. While some people liked it, more people felt disappointed. My close friend conveyed many of your suggestions and criticisms to me, and at my request, even the sharpest remarks. I promise to continue honing my skills and strive to create works that satisfy everyone. Only when the final results reach the expected standard and show significant improvement will I present them again. Until then, the renderings will remain in their current position as a warning mark for me to improve my work. Thank you all for your support, and special thanks to my close friend ZZ for helping me connect with all of you. Okay, so I'm assuming that the project is probably delayed a bit in contrast to the original pre-order date, although they didn't necessarily say that. They did say, let's see, continue honing their skills. Only when the final results reach the expected standard will they show it again. So yeah, I don't know when they will show it again, or whether the pre-orders have been delayed, or, you know, it's kind of implied that that's the case, but not like explicitly stated. Okay.